Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books, and I've been covering Disney and Marvel very closely, especially these last few months. There's so much going on. Victoria Alonso is going to sue Disney into oblivion because they are run by complete idiots. Now, Victoria Alonso should have been fired from Disney a long time ago. The damage that she has done to culture, to humanity, and to the value of the Marvel franchise is incalculable. What could have been maybe a $20 or $30 billion franchise all on its own. I'm talking about the independent value of Marvel as a thing, if they were to make it its own company. What could have been that, she has now made almost not viable. Clearly, she was the influence making everything woke and garbagey at Marvel. Kevin Feige was open to the idea of doing, okay, we'll have some female superheroes, you want to have some minority superheroes. He was good for that. But the idea of going in and taking away the characters that were so successful for the company, destroying Thor, destroying Iron Man, destroying Captain America, all of that could not have possibly come from Kevin Feige. This was Victoria Alonso's personal mission because she is a gay Latina, as she likes to tell everyone. It comes out in all of her public statements. Who cares, frankly, what her heritage is and what her sexual preferences are? This is not my business. I don't even really want to know. When Marvel got to the point where things were going so poorly that they had to say, hey, look, we need to make serious changes at Marvel, so let's all get a meeting together. Or perhaps it was just the guys talking without Victoria, trying to figure out, how do we turn this around? We've got Marvel. It's generated billions of dollars. It's not working right now. Obviously, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania made it clear things aren't working right now. But what could they change and how could they go about doing it? They know the truth. There's no question about what the truth is. You have an abrasive, difficult executive who's also pushing the woke agenda on a boys franchise. That's why they bought Marvel in the first place. It was to fill in the gap of Disney's product for boys. They had the princesses for girls. This is not my assessment. This is me reiterating what Bob Iger said openly himself in a press release in Publishers Weekly. Here it is from Publishers Weekly going back to 2009. Bob Iger said exactly this. Marvel, number 4 in licensing, is the number 1 comics publisher in the US, claiming a little over 45% of last year's comics market share. But it's Marvel's recent movie successes that made it most attractive to Disney, Sony's record-smashing Spider-Man franchise, and Fox's multiple X-Men series. Keeping in mind now that Disney owns the X-Men. Since they've owned the X-Men, they haven't done any new X-Men, and it's been Victoria Alonso who said, oh, we can't call them the X-Men because that's outdated because the word is men in the title, throwing away what in and of itself should be a single billion-dollar franchise. Recently, Marvel has also started making its own movies. This is recently as of 2009, and Iron Man took in $318 million domestically and $570 million worldwide. That is an incredible franchise. How are you not doing an Iron Man movie every 2 years? Together, Marvel's characters fill Disney's perpetual gap in boys' entertainment. Disney attracts girls in droves, and they are already a staple on the boy-centric Disney XD cable channel. That is why they bought Marvel. It made incredible sense. But now, Victoria Alonso and her acolytes have decided boys don't exist. Why should we make products for boys? There's no such thing as a boy. Well, that's what got her fired. She knows that's what got her fired. Disney knows that's what got her fired. But Disney's not going to admit that that is why they fired her. Why? Because they were afraid of the wokey backlash, and also because Bob Iger also at this point probably doesn't believe that boys and girls actually exist, because we know about identity and all of that, and it's throughout Marvel at this point. It's throughout Disney at this point. Victoria Alonso is going to get whatever she asks for. She's got a very strong lawyer. If her goal is to get the same payout that Bob Chapek got, which was approximately $25 million, that's what she's going to get. If her goal is to come back to Disney and to run Marvel now, she might actually get that. Why? Because they don't want to tell the truth at Disney as to what's been destroying their content. She's been butting heads apparently with Kevin Feige. This is from Comic Book News. Victoria Alonso clashed with Kevin Feige. Disney's afraid of the woke backlash. They don't want to call it for what it is. She is a firebrand, this Victoria Alonso. I don't agree with her beliefs. I think she's really a terrible person doing damage to humanity. But she's tough and she's going to push. And let me know what you think in the comments below. Who's going to fight back? Kevin Feige? He looks like he's, every picture, look at this picture. Every picture he's in, he looks like he's lost. He doesn't know where he is. Hopefully his mom is going to pick him up. There's no Kevin Feige that's going to push back. There's no Bob Iger that's going to push back. She's going to get whatever she asks for. And if she's smart, she'll ask for a lot. I can't believe Disney was so ill prepared to deal with getting rid of her that they didn't create any kind of paper trail. They didn't create any kind of demand notices. They put themselves in a position where, of course, you can throw her out of the building, but of course she's going to sue you into oblivion. And maybe they figure for 15 million, 25 million, she'll just disappear and they can go on with trying to fix the company. That better be what they're hoping. There are numerous articles from numerous websites. This really is all just coming out tonight. It's all very new. Inside the firing of Victoria Alonso, her Oscar-nominated movie Argentina 1985, at the center of her exit. Her lawyer disputes that. This movie, Argentina 1985, was something that she was a producer on. She worked on it. Supposedly that's a violation of her contract. But the truth of it is, unless Disney made notices to her saying, excuse me, you're in violation of your contract, you can't support this film, it's completely unreasonable to fire her on this basis. It doesn't matter what her contract says. If her lawyer is aggressive, and her lawyer is very aggressive. Her lawyer is already the lawyer that's suing Disney over terminating the woman who was working on The Acolyte in a producer role, but she's apparently a hard-hitting Hollywood exec. Disney's in a terrible position. The only way Disney could get a fair deal out of this is to point out all of the horrendous things that people have complained about with her with regards to the visual effects artists, with regards to her being very pushy, having to approve every scene, that's encroaching on what directors need to be able to do when they're making decisions about shots. They really need to call her out for what she is. Do I think they will? I really don't think that they will. I don't think anyone at Disney has the courage to stand up to this woman. If they're lucky, they'll get away with paying her off. This is coming from Deadline. Before we get into the article, please be sure you're subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications and give me a thumbs up. Victoria Alonso weighing legal action against Disney Marvel over sudden firing, serious consequences, promises lawyer Patty Glaser as a Mouse House points at indisputable breach of contract. The Walt Disney Company is facing serious consequences and possible legal action over the pink-slipping firing this week of Marvel visual effects chief Victoria Alonso. She was a president at the company. She was a co-president, making it clear to Bob Iger, Kevin Feige, and everyone at the House of Mouse that she is not going quietly. The Oscar-nominated producer has retained the services of Patty Glaser. In a statement released Friday for the now former president, physical and post-production, visual effects, and animation production for Marvel Studios, the litigator who's already taking Disney-owned Lucasfilm to court for the canning of Star Wars TV series The Acolyte, executive producer Karen McCarthy said, the idea that Victoria was fired over a handful of press interviews related to a personal passion project about human rights and democracy that was nominated for an Oscar and which she got Disney's blessing to work on is absolutely ridiculous. Victoria, gay Latina, good for her. Why do you have to tell everyone? Who had the courage to criticize Disney was silenced. Then she was terminated when she refused to do something she believed was reprehensible. Disney and Marvel made a really poor decision that will have serious consequences. There's a lot more to the story, and Victoria will be telling it shortly, in one form or another. Disney isn't taking that shot across the bow without a missive of their own. But this is weak sauce. Quote, it's unfortunate that Victoria is sharing a narrative that leaves out several key factors concerning her departure, including an indisputable breach of contract and a direct violation of company policy, a Disney spokesman told Deadline this evening. We will continue to wish her the best for her future and thank her for her numerous contributions to the studio. Alonso still has her Possibility is Your Superpower memoir coming out later this year on Disney's imprint. They're publishing a book from Alonso called Possibility is Her Superpower, as if she had anything to do with good things happening for Marvel. Perhaps in the very early years, I never want to take away hard work from someone, and she was there. She was helping getting things done at a time that they didn't even know if Marvel was going to be able to go forward making its own movies. She was there. She must have contributed something, or she wouldn't have been part of that process. But boy, did she turn into a monster. The very press-friendly Alonso, who was consistently an outspoken champion of diversity at Disney, to the point where she called out then Disney CEO Bob Chapek to take a stand against Florida's anti-LGBTQ plus legislation, which is really just about saying, no, you can't teach preschool through second graders about sexualized identities and things like that. That's the law in Florida. It's the parental rights law. It's so that parents get a say over when they're introducing sexual ideas to literally to their own children. Quote, so I ask you again, Mr. Chapek, please respect if we're selling family. Take a stand against all these crazy outdated laws, Alonso told a glad audience over clear discrimination move in the Sunshine State, aka home of Disney World. Take a stand for family. Stop saying that you tolerate us. We deserve the right to live, love, and have. More importantly, we deserve an origin story. These statements about having an origin story, again, it's just Florida essentially saying parents will make the decisions for their children. The state will not be doing that. Disney will not be doing that. It will be the people that bring these children into the world who decide how to help them live and adapt to culture. We hear after her remarks at GLAAD last April over Disney's mishandling of Florida's Don't Say Gay legislation, as it's been called, but it is not, Alonso was benched by executives and told she could no longer do interviews or media at all. Alonso was even asked late last year by a prominent director to speak out for a Marvel film, but she stayed mute. Then the self-described reprehensible incident occurred, which seemed to involve a disagreement with a Disney executive who is not Iger, we've learned. However, with that we hear that the Buenos Aires-born Alonso did not initially seek permission to produce the Academy Award-nominated Argentina 1985, but did see her contract redrafted out of respect for her years at the company. The sticking point was that Alonso was not supposed to specifically promote the political drama, which she did promote. That was the breaking point, an insider said. So here's Alonso. She's got this incredible deal with Disney. She's able to push all of her woke nonsense on all of the classic franchises at Marvel. She's gotten rid of Iron Man. She's gotten rid of Thor, essentially. She's gotten rid of Captain America. She's gotten rid of everything that made Marvel cool. She's insisting there cannot be an X-Men. For any of us, if you're listening to this video, X-Men are important. They truly are. She's eliminating essentially the X-Men, saying that the title is no good because, it's got men in it. She had that position, but she still had to push her luck. Well, perhaps she pushed too much. In what is certain to become even sharper elbows if this goes to court, Deadline has been told that despite her affable demeanor to the press, Alonso was sometimes challenging to work with at the House of Mouse. Let me tell you, you can look at this face, you can look at this smile, and you know a troublemaker when you see it. She must have been a nightmare to have to work with, wielding her power, wielding her leverage, wielding her authority, with zero respect to creatives. If you have better information than me, I'd love to see it in the comments below. I always appreciate you guys taking the time to tell me what you think. The punishing schedule aside, one insider cited how Alonso would take days off to conduct her own personal business affairs. So this is her taking time off to produce her stupid movie, Argentina 1985. And this ultimately resulted, to some degree, in a logjam of Marvel films and TV series in the post-production pipeline, causing major theatrical release date delays. Can you imagine that? She's responsible for getting these films out the door. She's taken on the responsibility. She's being compensated for doing that. They're paying her real money. She's cashing the checks. But there's a logjam in theatrical releases? Yet she can take time off to do her silly project, which is not for the studio? That will actually get you fired. While many studios suffered delays in post-production houses due to the pandemic, Disney on several occasions delayed its bigger movies, for example, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Thor Love and Thunder, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, and most recently, the Marvels. In the new cost-cutting, job-cutting Iger 2.0 era, count visual effects expenses, which was chiefly under Alonso's domain, as one of those line items that needs to be reined in. Whether or not that meant showing the door to Alonso is a whole other matter, likely heading towards a payout or trial at this rate. The hiring of Hollywood heavyweight litigator Glasser was first reported by Variety. Well, what you can expect is she's going to get paid. As far as her general sloppiness, it sounds like she was worse than we thought. Not only was she injecting garbage into the franchises, but she was also not even paying attention to a lot of the production needs, causing multiple late theatrical delays. I mean, what kind of an attitude could this person possibly have? Clearly, she felt a little bit too comfortable at the company. But what I will say is I think she's got a pretty good case because their absolute sudden firing, unless they have numerous warnings to her, no, you're a co-president at Marvel working for a multi-billion-dollar company. If you haven't been receiving warnings, and they throw you out the door, and you make public that the reason is because of this Argentina 1985 little goofy project she did, that's not enough reason to get away with not paying massive penalties in some kind of settlement. And I'm sure for all the money she's lost, Marvel, they could care less if it's 10 million, 25 million, whatever. It's just another number. They'll pay her, she'll shut up, and they'll be done with it. Same as them getting rid of Chapek. Let me know what you think of all this, though, in the comments below. Did you see this coming with Victoria Alonso? Did you realize it was her fault that all these projects, these theatrical projects, these major projects, junky as they might have been, were getting delayed? They weren't released when they were supposed to be released because she wasn't even paying attention to her main job. This is like her main thing. She's supposed to be in charge of production at Marvel, but she doesn't even care enough to make sure these things come out. Were you aware of that? Do you think Disney did the right thing by getting rid of her? Did they prepare it properly, or are they going to get themselves in even more trouble when they wind up in front of a court? Because it looks like she's going to sue them. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Please be sure you're subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications and give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.